Back when I was in middle school, my math teacher would often ask us, what would we rather want? $1 million up front or a penny doubling in value every day for a year? Thinking back to that time, $1 million sounds really good up front, until you realize what you're forfeiting. Einstein once said, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it, or she, earns it, and he who doesn't, or she, pays it. Unless you do the math, it's unfathomable how much money doubling a penny every day for a year actually is. But here's the thing, most people think about compound interest as like a financial jargon, and to a degree, yeah, it is, but it's so much more than that. You see, everything that you do in your life on a consistent basis has a compounding effect. Whether it's building a business, building a brand, a YouTube channel, or going to the gym to work out, when you work on something on a consistent basis, it grows. And not only does it grow, but it hits a point of acceleration where the growth is exponential. As you compound your previous efforts, stay consistent, they snowball to your future results. One of the unfortunate realities is that we often give up before we get to experience meaningful results. Now, let's use Warren Buffett as the golden example of compounding interest. He's been working since he was a kid. Times were very different back then. He became a millionaire at the age of 30, then it took him another 26 years to grow into billionaire status. Obviously, this wasn't only just compounding alone, and Buffett deserves every ounce of respect for the investor that he is, but this is the fun part, and this is what compounding allowed him to do. In 1982, he's at around $376 million. Then in 1983, he's almost doubled to $620 million. 3 years later, he's above $1 billion at around 1.4. Another 3 years later, he's at $3.8 billion. Then 6 years later, he's at $17 billion. Another 6, he's at $36 billion. And then he's at $58 billion and then $91 billion. Today, he's over $100 billion. Now, this fluctuates a lot, but the point is that his income grew, and now it's to the point that his interest makes immense amounts of money. You could even look at YouTube channels like The Infographic Show. Keep in mind, quality is important, but so is quantity. At this point, they have over 3,600 videos on YouTube, which essentially gives them a 3,000 times better opportunity to be discovered than my channel. This ties into another massive point, and that's you have to begin somewhere, and you have to start sometime. The earlier you start, the more time you allow to compound, and the magic of compounding is the longer it's running, the bigger the growth. So let's go back to the penny a day question. Would you take the million, or would you take the penny doubled every day for a year? Well, if you took the penny option, in the first 10 days, you'd have a total of $5.12. Good choice, right? Hold on. On the 15th day, you'd be at $163. So that's getting better. Then on the 25th day, you're at $167,772.16. By day 28, you break $1 million and you hit $1.3 million. I'm not including the small amounts. On day 30, you're at $5.3 million. Try to do the rest of the year. The number is so massive that there is a total of 108 digits. I think it's like, yeah, I counted, but then I got blurred out at a point. The biggest downside of this, of course, is diminishing return. So what is diminishing return? Well, diminishing return is basically the amount of money or production that you're getting and extracting from your investment decreases over time based on how much you're putting in. Look at it like this. If you have $100 to invest, it's a lot easier to allocate that than if you have $100 million. Likewise, if you have $100 billion, it's a lot more difficult to allocate that total amount of money. In the same way, let's assume that you started a new business. For the first couple of years and even a couple of decades, it's really not that difficult for you to increase, let's say 20%, 40%, or even 100% in profitability or customer acquisition year after year. But when you continue to do that for such a long period of time, eventually you're gonna see a slowdown because there's just not enough people in the world to keep up with that. Netflix is a great example of this. I mean, if you look at the stock over just the last year, it has lost about 60% of its value. But one of the biggest reasons that I can think of for Netflix's slow downfall is that its subscriber growth is not keeping up with what investors expect it to. Over the last decade, Netflix has gone up from about 25 million to over 250 million users. And in order to sustain that growth upwards, well, an easy solution would be if there was just more people in the world, but that's not the case. So everything has a finite limit. The moral of the story is to get you to understand that no matter what you're pursuing, whether it's a business or just a skill for yourself, investing in the long run is the way to go. You can't look for immediate gratifications because anything that's worth growing, anything that's worthwhile, takes that time for you to build. And the longer you're doing something, you're better at it. And the longer you're there, the more opportunities that will eventually present themselves to you. So obviously, the younger you are, the better this is for you, but it's never too late for anybody. Get started, get educated, invest now, and look for your financial freedom. Learn about compound interest and subscribe to this channel. My name is Rybread with Company Comprehension. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end, and I really do hope you got some good information from this. Make sure you guys leave a like down below. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!